Hello everyone, good morning. This is Alister Albert, Sports Max Zone basketball lead analyst for the Caribbean. Host of Baseline to Baseline with Alister Albert, my own little YouTube podcast, show, YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. Go check that out on YouTube. Search for Alister, Baseline to Baseline with Alister Albert. You can see all my Sports Max Zone appearances and some interviews that I've done and some more which will be coming up soon. Had to plug that in really early because I'll forget. Today is June 19th, happy Juneteenth to the American people. It's a very important day for, racial, racial causes in the United States in terms of, Black history and all that sort of stuff. And, it's June 19th, which is the day after Father's Day. We had a lovely weekend here in the UK. You could see it's kind of still sunny outside. Which is a rarity for the UK. Those of us who live in the UK know what UK summers and UK weather is like. And of course, this is me, not ready for Sports Max. I'm here, wearing an old RBTT shirt. My old employer from when I lived back home in St. Lucia. It was a banking institution. I worked in the bank for a little bit. And of course, progressed from that. I'm an NBA analyst and everything, as everyone knows. But anyway, putting all of that aside, belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there as well. And I raised the Father's Day very significantly because I'm here doing some stuff and I'm listening to Stephen A. Smith's First Take podcast or the podcast version of the show. From Friday, and I'm listening to him, Adrian Wojnarowski, Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins talking about giving their reaction to Adam Silver's ruling on the 25-game suspension of Ja Morant. And we come to the point in that podcast. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. We come to the point in the podcast where Stephen A. Smith is kind of saying, I think he should even be kept away from the team to kind of really send a message and to really make him understand, it's a privilege to be in the NBA, right? And, I'm a guy who works hard. You know what I mean? I do quite a lot of stuff. I have a day job. I have, Sports Max stuff that I do, and I do some other stuff on the side, to try to make ends meet, like many of us do in life, to kind of just trying to provide for your family and do things as an adult. And I'm listening to this 25-game announcement, and, they kind of ran for the figures and everything, and they're saying Ja Morant probably stands to lose about close to $50 million based on endorsements, games missed, the punitive damage this thing has caused him has been immense. And when I heard the $50 million potentially lost, and I'm here working hard, trying to, make ends meet and try to do the things that I do, my stomach kind of hurt for a second. I kind of felt it because I'm like, I'm working as hard as I am, trying my best to do as much as I do to kind of keep my bank accounts level, to keep my wife's situation level, to try to keep my son's situation good for him growing up. And $1 million would do me greatly. It would help me and my family out a lot. Let me tell you something. Going into Caribbean speak, it will help me a lot. Right? Now, Stephen A. Smith is a guy, he comes on the show and he says, I'm an island man, my family come from Antigua. Comes from Antigua, St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands and all that sort of stuff. And, I kind of poke fun at him a little while. And I say, I'm a Caribbean NBA analyst. I'm the real deal. I was born and raised there. I'm not a guy who has descendants from Antigua and St. Thomas. I was born in St. Lucia. You know what I mean? And I've lived there for like 21, 22 years, and I'm raised, born, bred from a father and a mother who were disciplined, oriented. And Stephen A. Smith made the point that, this dude, Ja Morant, does stuff in front of his father, curses, Stephen A. Smith as an analyst said the first time his mother ever heard him curse, he was 49 years old. And the level of deference that he showed and respect that he showed to his mom up until 49 was paramount. And this dude is out here on Instagram live and cursing and doing all sorts of stuff in front of his father, and his father does nothing about it. Now, this is not to cast aspersions around their relationships and whatever it is, but it just kind of shows a little bit of a glimpse into the family life of Ja Morant. Now, people might come out at me and say, you know, I'm hating and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm not hating, but, you know, yeah, I'm jealous. You know, I'm a guy who played semi-pro basketball, wish he had an opportunity to be in the NBA, wish an opportunity to kind of earn minimum salary on an NBA bench. And this dude just let about $50 million slip from his fingers, yeah? You know, I'm not ashamed to say, of course I'm jealous of Ja Morant. Of course I'm jealous of Kyrie Irving. Of course I'm jealous of these guys who get these opportunities, because I thought that if I had certain opportunities presented to me, I possibly could have ended up in the NBA, even if it was the G League. You understand what I'm saying? And this guy has done whatever he has done on Instagram and all that. I'm not going to get into it because, you know, we know how ridiculous it is. Costing himself almost $50 million. I'm here working hard, yo. I'm here working hard, and you know, I laugh in disbelief. And if anyone kind of knows who I am, I kind of chuckle and laugh when I'm in disbelief. This guy probably letting $50 million slip through his fingers, allowing him not to be eligible for the Supermax contract because he is not going to be eligible for the minimum 65 games that will be required for him to be eligible for Supermax contracts and all NBA selection and all that sort of stuff. Awards eligibility. I'm here working hard. And the thing about what Stephen A. Smith said, you know, in me kind of making a little mockery out of but lovingly so as a fellow Caribbean guy, making a little mockery about of him being an island man, he was the only one on the panel who was saying that, you know, Ja Morant should be away from his team. You know, Kendrick Perkins said, you know, he needs to be in the team. You know, that's a locker room. You know, that's a sanctuary. That's where, you know, the healing can kind of be there. Or he can get the healing from being with his teammates and talking and everything. And he should be allowed to practice with his team. I totally agree with Stephen A. Smith. He should not. As Stephen A. Smith said and brought up that Kendrick Perkins had said, it's a privilege to be in the NBA. Yo, look at where I'm at. You know, I'm not in the NBA right now. None of y'all could have known about Alister Albert as much as I would like you guys to know from a basketball perspective. Yeah, I'm doing the NBA thing now, analyst stuff now, and I'm absolutely grateful that I get to do it even at this level right now, which is not ESPN, but let me tell you something. You know, doing NBA analysis as the lead NBA analyst for the whole Caribbean region is a good gig. But when Stephen A. Smith brings up, you know, his family background, you know, I think that kind of plays a little part as to why he's the only person on the panel saying that he should not be allowed, you know, in his locker room during this suspension. Because you have to understand that us people as Caribbean people, we are very disciplined. You know, we come from homes and families, well, especially from a certain generation. You know, I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1985. You know, anyone from that era, maybe early 90s and before that, 80s, 70s, 60s, of course, when you go back, you know how discipline was back then. We didn't have social media. We didn't have things to mess about with. You learn to walk the straight and narrow, and you learn to respect your elders, and you learn not to embarrass your family and your family name. Yeah? Not for Instagram likes, not for attention, nothing like that. So it makes total sense why Stephen A. Smith would say at 49 years old, he had never cursed in front of his mother, because I still can't do that. Despite my mom knowing how much of a man I am now and respecting who I am and who I've become. Totally agree and understand what Stephen A. Smith says there. You know, when he talks about him being a straight shooter and writing a book titled that, it makes total sense. And I felt so compelled to kind of do a video, and you know me, if you look at my Instagram profile, you could see there are not many of these video selfies, but whenever I feel compelled by a story, I jump on and I do this. Now, this is going to be about a 10-minute video, and I'm going to wrap up by saying, Stephen A. Smith, totally respect what you said there, because us as Caribbean people, we know what it is to be disciplined and to work hard and to scrunt and to struggle to get to points where we could kind of say, well, boy, you know, we did a lot, our families went through a lot, we can't mess things up. I came to the UK wanting a better life for myself and studying and got my degree here in the UK, wanting to be better for myself and my family. Getting $1 million US dollars for me and my family circumstance. I'm still trying to see if I could get to that point. Not many of us are, so there's no shame in me saying I'm not a millionaire. So anyone who wants to try to play, they can't talk about the financial circumstances on thing. I'm not going to go in any detail, but of course I'd love to be a millionaire. Who doesn't? And we have a dude right here who's supremely talented, a dude that I bought his jersey recently because I love his vibe, and he's out here squandering money. Like the beaches in the Caribbean islands, he has let almost $50 million slip through his fingers like the golden sand of the Caribbean beaches. That hurt me, Dread. That hurt me. You understand? So let me end this by saying, Stephen A. Smith, I've kind of made little mockery jokes and stuff about being an island boy. I'm an island man, I like my mango and and them stuff that you do on the show sometimes. But I've always admired how he's rise to where he is right now, and him showing that, giving a little bit of that view behind the curtain of his family life and how he respected and how his behavior around his parents or his mother was such a big thing. Totally respect that, because I could relate to that, and you could see why Caribbean people work as hard as they do and a lot of times don't put themselves in the situations that other people do, because we come from strong, disciplined backgrounds. Now that's not to say other people don't, and other families and other racial cultures and people don't, because Africans, some Native Americans, certain Americans, African Americans, Eastern European. I know some Eastern European families that are really strict. So this is not saying that Caribbean people are better or whatever it is, but just on that panel, because I could relate to being a Caribbean man, I totally understand why Stephen A. Smith was the only person on that panel that said, nah, he should be away from his team. And no matter, it's cool. You don't have to like what I'm saying, and you could say I'm a hater or whatever it is. I'm not a hater, but I want to see Ja Morant on the court just as much as Stephen A. Smith said. I bought his jersey recently. Yeah? But it makes total sense why Stephen A. Smith was the only person on the panel saying that he shouldn't be with his team. It needs to hurt. Yes, he's going to miss 25 games, but it needs to hurt him altogether, so he knows that nonsense he did on Instagram Live, and being a role model, it needs to hurt. He needs to not be around the team completely. We have to kind of show and kind of make deterrents for younger people right now, because it seems like everything is just all or nothing for them. You want to nurture them and put them in structures that kind of get them to where they need to get to. But I think young people now, because there's so much more available to them, there needs to be certain more levels of structure. And yes, taking him away from his team might be taking away some of the structure, but also you need to kind of provide deterrence when they already start to do things wrong. There's nothing wrong with strong parenting, nothing wrong with strong employers doing what they need to do to make sure their employees and stuff do what they need to do. So this is my little rant. I said I was going to make it like 10 minutes. It's like 13:25 right now. But I just felt compelled to totally big up what Stephen A. Smith said. And it made total sense to me as a Caribbean guy as well, looking at him on that panel or listening to him on that panel and realizing he was the only one saying that, yeah, Ja shouldn't be there on this team. Yeah. So this is it. Hope you guys enjoy your day. And like I said, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.